So
Common sense build is just that. And if someone's trying to sell you something and you don't feel right about it, don't feel like you have to go along with it. It's okay to say no.
just say no.
Welcome to Sam's Garage, presented by NH Oil Undercoating. Where projects come alive and future builders get their hands dirty. We kick things off with an engine drop in the Summit Bandit, with help from a 14-year-old kart racer turning wrenches like a pro. Then it's on to our Holley OBS 454, wiring in a Sniper EFI, plumbing the fuel, and getting this beast ready to fire for the first time. We cool things down in a supercharged Z06, tackling thermostat swaps and tuning tweaks to banish limp mode for good. And finally, we plant the 347 stroker in Vic's 66 Mustang, and getting one step closer to tire shredding glory. It's engine drop day on the Summit Bandit. We're locking in mounts, lining up the trans, and dialing in clearances, with a 14-year-old kart racer calling the shots. Wrenches ready, let's send it.
All right, so this is an exciting day today with our Summit Racing Bandit project. We're going to be installing the engine and transmission. I've got a good friend of mine's son here, Sterling Kester.
Hi, I'm Sterling. I race go-karts in a 206 class.
Yep, and he is a car guy. His whole family is car guys. He's 14 years old, so I got him here in the shop. He's going to help me put the parts on this engine. We're going to put it in the car. He's going to help me lift the transmission up, so that way I don't have to use a transmission jack. So Sterling, tell everybody what you do. Like, you race go-karts, I hear.
I race go-karts, yes, and I have a 81 Firebird, just like the one that we're working on.
That is very cool. Are you in the process of restoring it right now?
Yes, we are. We have a stroked 400 punched out to a 461.
Oh man, that's going to be so cool. I can't wait for you to drive. How much longer do you think you guys have on the restoration?
Probably about a year or so,
Just in time for you to get your permit.
Oh yeah.
Yep, that's going to be really cool. I can't wait to check it out.
Mm-hmm.
So the engine mount kit that we're using is from BRP Hot Rods, musclerods.com. They are the best kept secret in Cumming, Georgia, which is a little northeast metro Atlanta area. They give us all the hardware, along with the urethane transmission mount and any shims you may need for the cross member. So what I'm going to have you do is put on the driver's side bracket. We'll go to the car and install the engine mounts themselves, and then keep moving forward. All right, Sterling, you see that you and I got the motor mounts in place, but what we're going to do is we're going to take a little lube and we're going to put it on both sides of the bushing. And what that's going to do is, because it's so tight with the motor mount going over the bracket, that it's just going to help slide in with no problems. You and I are going to come over here to the front. You're going to look at the passenger side motor mount. I'm going to look at the driver's side motor mount. We're going to go in until we're good, okay?
Sir.
Alrighty, this is your first motor install, isn't it?
Yep.
Well, this is a nice little prelude for when you do your own Firebird. All right, so that's not gonna work. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove the power steering pump right now and then put it in and figure that out later. That's why it's important that anytime you're putting an engine in the car, you always stop and keep looking, keep looking, keep looking, because you never know when you're gonna come across that point. We're going to take these shims, all right? And so this is that bell housing surface up there. Okay. So from here to the teeth, we have 3 inches. This needs an air gap right here. Those are shims. So first what we're going to do is we're going to put it on, and I'm going to measure from the bell housing to the tape. And I'm 2 3/4. I want 2 7/8. That wasn't too bad. Sterling and I got the engine and transmission in our Summit Racing Bandit project. The muscle rods, engine mounts, and crossmember worked out really good.
Yep.
We went to Summit Racing. We picked up an American Powertrain bell housing along with the throwout bearing kit. But I have to say, you did an awesome job today, Sterling.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I had a blast.
It seems like you've done this before or something, and I know you race go-karts. Do you wrench on them as well?
I do. I work on them pretty much all the time.
Very good. For someone who had just turned 14, you really knocked it out the park.
All right, thank you. I had a blast. It was a good day.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out. It was
Yeah,
absolutely
of course.
wonderful working with you. You know
Yeah.
a lot. Anytime you want to come back in the future and help me out, you're more than welcome.
All righty. Well, I will.
Welcome back to Sam's Garage, presented by NH Oil Undercoating. It's go time for the OBS 454. We're wiring up a Holley Sniper EFI Series 2, plumbing in all the new fuel system, and getting the big block ready to fire in the truck for the first time. We're almost there, and it's gonna sound mean.
This is the exciting week. We get to hear this 454 running inside this OBS Holley project. What I'm going to be installing today is going to be a Sniper EFI. This is the Series 2 version. I've got my fuel system as well. I've got a fuel regulator. I've got a fuel pump. That's not on the table, but it's here in the shop. I've got a fuel filter and all the fittings that I hopefully need to get this completed. This does not have a Corvette style fuel filter. There is no regulator. The regulator was in the fuel system on the 4.3 liter engine. So I need to install a regulator. I'm going to put it on the frame rail, take one line over to the Holley Sniper EFI. We should be good to go. On the Sniper 2, we have one big harness here that's got our relays, everything, including our input-output switches on the same harness. The input-output switches will be a sub-harness off the main harness. So I've got my relay for the fuel pump and the system, along with my fuse attached to that stud right there. I have snaked the wire for the Sniper EFI underneath the intake manifold so I can plug it in. Now it's very important that on this particular Sniper 2, we have one connector for the display unit that's on the main sub-harness, and then we have another one that's coming off of the Sniper unit itself. You want to use the one that's off the Sniper unit itself. So now we have our fuel pump wire, we have our switch 12 inputs, we got battery, power, and ground. All right, so now I got to make all this look good and connect it all. I've already got the battery and ground connected. You have to go to the battery for these two items. If you do your ground properly and you add two good solid grounds to the engine block, you can take your ground to the engine block and be just fine. So as long as you do those things correctly, you can run your power and ground to those spots and not completely to the battery. Okay, so I want to hook up the power and ground and make this thing run, but the battery is at 5 volts. This battery is only a year old. And because it is at 5 volts, this smart charger doesn't see the battery. I know it's there. I know it's got juice. So to fool that guy, I'm going to make it 12 volts. I'm going to hook up my smart charger. Then when I hit it, it sees the battery. So you have to fool the smart charger. So we'll let that do it for about 10 minutes. That way the battery charger will remain charging. I can then remove this. I've got long 3/8 bolts so that I can do what I'm doing. I went ahead and did my fuel system. In this case, I went ahead and ordered a 7.4 liter 454 truck fuel pump module. Makes it nice and easy. There's plenty of fuel. I got rid of the factory fuel lines and fuel filter. I put in a adjustable fuel pressure regulator on the frame, saving me some hose. I got one hose coming up into the Sniper EFI. As long as there's a return back there and the fuel is flowing, we're good. Well, there you have it. It's about 99% done. That last 1% will probably take another week. I still have to do the shifter linkage, button it up, hook up a transmission computer, but next week this thing's gonna fire up. It's gonna sound really good. We already know what it sounds like because we fired it up on the engine run stand, but to see it in the car all complete, looks pretty good. A little bit of wiring to do still, a little bit of cleanup, but it's ready to fire. I don't recommend this for anyone, unless you got a Master 28 by Corgi. Lifting this up on these machines is the worst thing you can do, but those hydraulic assists on both these machines makes it seamless. When you guys are purchasing tires, you want to purchase it for sound, balancing, and ride quality. That's why I go to Falcon. I've been using Falcons since they were born. When it comes to an all-terrain tire like this and you want to make sure that you got a nice smooth ride going 70 to 80 miles an hour and you know that that tire is going to balance, that's what you're paying for when it comes to these Falcon all-terrains. Look at this Wild Peak. This is absolutely beautiful. Not only that, but it's got the raised letters right here where you can, if you wanted to, go in there with a colored marker and make these any color you wanted, like you see today everyone's doing. Victory Motorsports alongside with Nopi Motorsports will be opening up a new shop, and Tire Distributors of Georgia is going to be supplying us with all of our tires because they are a commercial facility here in the Georgia area. If you guys have a commercial shop and you're selling tires, you want to check out Tire Distributors of Georgia because they got the inventory you need, but best of all, they got the customer service you want.
Welcome back to Sam's Garage, presented by NH Oil Undercoating. Today we're cooling down a heat-soaked Z06, swapping in a 160 thermostat, tuning fan temps with HP tuners, and bleeding the supercharger circuit. No more limp mode, no more stress, just boosted power on tap.
All right, so what I have in the shop today is a 2017 Corvette Z06. This thing makes 638 horsepower, has an intercooler for the blower, and this one is overheating. This belongs to a good friend of mine named Gary. He is also a co-member of the Georgia Street Rod Association with me, and he has this overheating issue to where this car will keep putting him in limp mode. Today, on a cool day, not too hot outside, it was 215 degrees, which isn't bad. You guys, these fans don't come on until about 2:30. So when you put a 160 thermostat in, you're gonna be cruising down the highway at about 178 to 185. And then you're gonna turn the fans on at around 215 and then cycle it down to 205. That'll drop this whole car 20 to 30 degrees in temperature. So that's what we're gonna do today. We're also gonna look at the cooling system for the supercharger and make sure that there is no air pockets in it. So the first thing you guys want to do is protect your investment. Put on the fender cover, put it on correctly, that way nothing happens. Next thing I'm going to do is suck out the reservoir completely dry, remove the thermostat housing, it won't be such a gush of coolant. Anytime you guys are working with factory clamps, which is these pinch clamps, they're metal and they go out to hold the hose on in place. If you want to keep everything reliable, put them exactly the way you found them. Those are actually a pain in the butt clamps, but very useful because what happens is that when it gets cold, a regular radiator clamp that you twist to tighten will stay one size, whereas everything else will shrink. So then you have a coolant leak. That clamp is designed to always hold pressure. No matter how much shrinkage there is, you're never gonna have a leak. All right, so I got my computer hooked up. I'm using HP Tuners as the software. I'm gonna go ahead and read the vehicle, get the file from it. I'm gonna open it up. First thing I'm gonna do is go to Engine Diagnostics and turn off the code P0128. That's gonna tell me that my thermostat is out of range. So I'm gonna go in there and turn it off because I've just made mine much cooler. Then what I like to do is go into the engine and I'll go into Spark and I'll go into the modifiers for the intake air temp sensor and the coolant temp sensor. And I will reduce those modifiers down to a point where timing isn't affected too much because what happens is that it kills your power. We don't want to kill the power. Then what I'm going to do is go into the section that activates the fan at a certain temperature and reduce that temperature. Now, this car should not see limp mode anymore. We should have no issues when it comes to that. Next thing I'm going to do is go to the supercharger cooling system and make sure I have no bubbles there causing a limp mode. You can do it at home by activating the water pump for the system. There's a fill plug right here. There's a snap ring. Get it to where the snap ring opens. Open your bleeder valve, turn on your pump, fill it up until the water comes out of the bleeder valve, and you should be good to go. You're going to check your reservoir. There may be a bubble at the top of your reservoir, but that's okay because that's where the top part is and it's filled. You're going to have a little bubble at the top of your reservoir. You're not going to be able to get out, even if you vacuumed it. Well, it looks like Gary's gonna be really happy This thing cruises at 185 degrees. He's gonna be able to take his mountain runs with no worries about getting stuck in limp mode. Right?
Welcome back to Sam's Garage, presented by NHOU. This week, we dropped Vic's 347 stroker into a 66 Mustang. Spark plugs, push rods, and Ford quirks included. With the motor in place and the bolts torqued down, we're one step closer to burnout therapy.
All right, so this is the week that we install Vic's new 347 stroker engine. I've already done all the hard stuff by removing the radiator and getting everything out of my way so we can easily snatch this motor out and put the new one in. I'm hoping I do not have to remove the hood because I have enough room to come forward and up. I don't want to misalign any of the body panels. So when you guys are using aftermarket cylinder heads on a Ford or a Chevy, if you're using an Edelbrock, make sure to take a look at the recommendations on the Summit Racing website and see what else you need to complete your build. Like for instance, the special spark plugs. On this particular vehicle, if you guys are buying spark plugs for your project car, you want to get copper spark plugs. We're going to replace them like the old days, every 20,000 miles. I'm going to go ahead and stab the distributor because I'm already at top dead center. On a Ford, I like to put it at 10 degrees before top dead center, put my distributor at number 1, that way I'm already in at 10 degrees advanced. It'll give me a better chance of cranking it up. Okay, so we went ahead and got our comp cam push rods correct length from Summit Racing. I went ahead and put on those valves that are closed, adjusted them. Don't forget, you guys, you want to go to 0 lash and then give it a quarter turn. And then after you give it a quarter turn, you will experience this. And you'll probably think to yourself, man, that's loose. I didn't do my job right. That is incorrect. The lifters have no oil in them, so they're not pumped up. You're gonna have some side to side movement. It's the up and down movement that you're worried about. You don't want any up and down movement. And don't forget, guys, the reason why most of these small blocks, whether it be a small block Chevy or a Ford Windsor, leak, is because a lot of people don't go back and tighten their bolts. The reason why a lot of people don't tighten their bolts is because they say if you crush the gasket, you're gonna create a leak. Well, these new gaskets have metal in the middle. They're gonna keep you from going too tight. They want you to make it tight. Go around it 3 or 4 times, and you guys should have less of a leak. All you guys storing your cars with your lifts and those drip trays underneath them, there's no reason for that. You always want to make sure that when you're doing an R&R like this, that you transfer everything over from the old engine. As far as the sensors go, the motor mounts go, anything that you see from the old engine, any plugs, you got to check for things like that because you're going to cost yourself money or labor down the road. All right, so there's going to be a couple tips you need to know when it comes to these Ford engines. One, don't forget your mid plate. That's going to go right here on the dowels before the flex plate. Second thing is, the bolts on the crank, they're through bolts. So a little bit of glue on these bolts will keep your rear main seal from leaking. This is an externally balanced engine. It's very important that you use the stuff, the components that came with your rotating assembly. In my case, we did have the front crank pulley and the flex plate come with the rotating assembly. All right, Julie and I got the new 347 in the Ford. It took about 10 hours.
With a little extra help. This was all hands on deck project.
You're right, we did have the production crew on there as well. Good job, Julie. I just want to know one thing. One, why did you Ford guys put the studs in the torque converter? And two, why didn't you aftermarket guys remove them? So we got it all done. Next week, we're gonna go ahead and put everything else back on it so we can crank it. And Vic's gonna do some burnouts after you break it in, Vic.
Be sure to check out Sam's Garage on these other media platforms. Send us questions and feedback to info@samsgaragetv.com. From first-time engine drops to fine-tuned fuel and cooling systems, every project made serious progress. The Bandit's got heart, the OBS is wired to roar, the Z06 runs cooler, and Vic's Mustang is nearly ready to rip. Thanks for watching Sam's Garage.